To truly heal, you have to understand that much of what your mother did to you. The words, the silence, the distance, the pressure was not about you at all. It was about her pain, her wounds, her past, her unmet needs that were never healed. Most mothers love their children deeply, but love alone does not heal trauma. If a mother has never learned to process her pain, that pain leaks into her parenting, quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. Maybe she was emotionally unavailable, always busy, or dismissive when you needed her most. Maybe she was critical, controlling, or unpredictable, loving one day and distant the next. And as a child, you probably internalized that behavior as a reflection of your worth. You thought something was wrong with you. But the truth is, she was living in the shadow of her own unhealed story. She wasn't rejecting you. She was replaying patterns she didn't know how to stop. Your mother learned how to love from someone else who might not have loved her properly. She learned how to survive, not necessarily how to connect. If she grew up in a home where emotions were ignored, love was conditional, or boundaries were blurred, she carried those lessons forward. She may have believed that control equals care, or that silence equals strength, or that criticism is the way to build resilience. So when she raised you, she didn't see her behaviors as harmful. She saw them as normal. This is where healing begins, by recognizing that her parenting was shaped by her pain, not your value. She wasn't capable of giving what she didn't have. And while that doesn't erase the hurt, it helps you stop taking her actions personally. Her inability to nurture you emotionally wasn't proof that you were hard to love. It was proof that she never learned how to love herself fully. When you understand this, something shifts inside you. You begin to see her not as a perfect figure who failed you, but as a human being who struggled, who broke, who didn't know better. You stop asking, "Why wasn't I enough?" and start asking, "What broke her so deeply that she couldn't see me?" That question changes everything. It turns resentment into reflection, anger into awareness. Many of us grow up thinking our mother is supposed to be flawless, a symbol of unconditional love. But mothers are humans who carry the weight of generations before them. They carry silence, shame, expectations, and pain they were never allowed to express. What they couldn't process, they projected. What they couldn't speak, they passed down through tone, through behavior, through the energy they brought into the home. Understanding this truth doesn't mean minimizing your pain. It means reclaiming your perspective. It means realizing that what she said or didn't say, what she gave or withheld, came from her level of consciousness at that time. You didn't cause her wounds, and you couldn't heal them as a child. Her pain became her parenting, and her parenting became your emotional inheritance. But that inheritance doesn't have to define you forever. It only defines the story you choose to rewrite. Next one of the hardest truths to accept is that your mother may have genuinely loved you, but still hurt you. This is confusing because as children, we assume love automatically means safety, warmth, and understanding. But emotional awareness is not something everyone learns, and love without awareness can easily become control, criticism, or silence. Your mother might have done what she thought was best for you, yet those same actions may have left you feeling unseen or unloved. Many mothers express love through actions rather than emotions, through food, discipline, sacrifice, or hard work. They believe that meeting your physical needs equals love. But emotional needs are different. They require presence, patience, and vulnerability. If your mother never learned how to be emotionally open, she may have mistaken strength for distance and care for control. Her way of loving may have been wrapped in fear. Fear of you getting hurt, fear of losing control, or fear of repeating her own pain. You might remember moments when she scolded you harshly, not because she hated you, but because she was terrified that you'd fail like she once did. You might remember her telling you to be strong or stop crying, not because she didn't care, but because nobody ever let her cry. For her, emotions were a sign of weakness, so she built walls instead of bridges. And you grew up thinking love was supposed to feel heavy, conditional, or confusing. That's the hidden tragedy of generational trauma. It teaches people to protect instead of connect. Your mother might have wanted closeness, but didn't know how to handle vulnerability. So she used the only tools she had, silence, control, or perfectionism, to express what she couldn't say out loud, I love you, but I don't know how to show it without losing myself. When you begin to see this difference between love and emotional awareness, you stop judging her only by how she acted. You begin to understand why she acted that way. You realize that her love was filtered through her emotional limitations. She loved you with what she knew. She gave you the kind of love she was taught to give, even if it didn't feel like love to you. Understanding this helps you separate her intent from her impact. Her intent might have been love, but her impact might have been pain. You can hold both truths without denying either. You can say, she loved me, and still admit, she hurt me. Both can exist at once. Healing begins when you stop seeing those two truths as opposites and start seeing them as the full picture of what actually happened. When you understand that love can exist without emotional awareness, you free yourself from the need to rewrite the past. You stop chasing a version of her that could love you the way you needed. Instead, you begin to understand her humanity, flawed, limited, but real. And in that understanding, you create space to redefine love for yourself, a love that feels safe, kind, and emotionally awake. Healing is often misunderstood. Many people believe that once you begin to heal, you have to forgive instantly, forget the past, and excuse every hurtful thing your mother did. But real healing doesn't mean pretending the pain didn't happen. It means facing it with honesty and compassion. You don't have to erase your story to find peace. You have to own it. Healing is not about letting your mother off the hook. It's about taking yourself off the hook of carrying her pain. You can understand why she acted the way she did and still hold her accountable. You can see her trauma without allowing it to justify her behavior. Compassion and accountability can live together. When you understand this, you stop trying to rewrite the past and start reclaiming your power in the present. You stop asking, why couldn't she be different? And start realizing, I can be different now. There's a subtle difference between understanding and excusing. Understanding says, I see the roots of your pain. Excusing says, your pain makes it okay to hurt me. Those two are not the same. One opens the door to empathy. The other closes the door on self-respect. You can honor the fact that your mother's life was hard, that she struggled, sacrificed, and suffered, without minimizing how her choices impacted you. Healing means allowing both truths to exist. She did her best, and her best still hurt me. That's not disrespect, that's reality. Pretending otherwise only keeps you trapped in denial, repeating patterns you don't understand. When you excuse everything she did out of guilt or fear, you abandon yourself again, just as you might have done as a child, trying to earn her love or avoid her disappointment. This stage of healing is uncomfortable because it asks you to step out of emotional loyalty. Many of us grow up believing that acknowledging our mother's flaws is betrayal. But it's not betrayal, it's truth. And truth is what sets you free. You can love your mother deeply and still admit that some of her actions broke you. You can wish her peace while still protecting your boundaries. Real healing invites you to see her as human, not as a saint, not as a villain, but as a person with both light and shadow. It allows you to grieve the mother you wished you had while accepting the one you did have. And in that grief, there's clarity. You begin to realize that healing is not about rewriting her story. It's about rewriting your relationship with her story. When you stop excusing her behavior, you stop defending the pain that shaped you. You begin to defend your healing instead. You start to say, I understand where it came from, but it still wasn't okay. That statement becomes the foundation of your growth, because healing is not about choosing between empathy and truth. It's about holding both in balance, so you can finally step into peace without losing your sense of self. No matter how old you are, 20, 40, or 60, there's still a part of you that quietly waits for your mother's love. That little child inside still hopes she'll finally see you, understand you, or say the words you needed to hear. I'm proud of you. You did your best. I'm sorry. This is one of the deepest emotional truths most people never talk about, the silent waiting for a mother who may never come the way you needed her to. You can grow up, become strong, independent, and successful, but a small piece of your heart still aches for her approval. It shows up in subtle ways, in the way you overachieve, in the way you fear rejection, or in the way you crave validation from others. That's not weakness. That's the echo of a child who never fully received the warmth, safety, or acceptance she was supposed to have. Every child deserves to be seen, soothed, and supported. When that doesn't happen, the longing doesn't disappear. It just hides beneath adult responsibilities and independence. You might say you've moved on, but inside there's a small voice whispering, maybe one day she'll change. And that voice keeps you emotionally tethered to the past. But the truth is, healing doesn't come from waiting. It comes from reparenting yourself. You can't go back and get the love you missed, but you can learn to give it to yourself now. The adult you can become the safe, gentle, and understanding parent the child and you needed all along. When you tell yourself, I see you, you're not too much. You didn't deserve that. You begin to repair what was broken piece by piece. Reparenting is not about blaming your mother forever. It's about realizing that her emotional limitations don't have to become yours. She might not have had the tools to give you the love you needed, but you do. You can give yourself permission to rest when you're tired, to express feelings without shame, to believe you are worthy of love without earning it. These small acts of self-compassion are how you rewrite your emotional story. You also start to see how that inner child has been driving many of your adult choices. Maybe you chase people who treat you the way your mother did, distant, dismissive, or unpredictable, because a part of you still hopes to finally win the love you lost. But when you recognize that pattern, you can pause and ask, is this love, or is this my inner child still trying to heal? That awareness changes everything. The moment you start showing up for yourself in ways your mother couldn't, the waiting ends. You no longer need her to fill the emptiness because you're filling it yourself with truth, care, and understanding. The child in you doesn't disappear. She just stops waiting. She finally feels safe because you, the adult version of her, have taken over the job your mother couldn't complete. And that's where real healing quietly begins. Forgiveness is one of the hardest and most misunderstood parts of healing, especially when it comes to your mother. Many people believe forgiveness means saying what happened was okay, or that you're letting her off the hook for the pain she caused. But that's not what forgiveness truly is. Forgiveness doesn't mean erasing the past. It means releasing its grip on your heart. It's not about giving permission for what happened. It's about choosing peace over poison. When you carry resentment, you carry her pain too. It becomes a shadow that follows you in your relationships, in your reactions, in the way you see yourself. You might think you've moved on, but deep inside, the anger still lives, whispering, "She shouldn't have done that to me." And you're right, she shouldn't have. But holding on to that truth with bitterness doesn't heal you. It traps you. It keeps you emotionally tied to the very person you're trying to be free from. Forgiveness isn't something you do for her. It's something you do for yourself. It's a way of saying, "I refuse to let your pain continue through me." It's reclaiming your power by no longer letting the past dictate your peace. It's not a moment, it's a process, a slow, gentle letting go one layer at a time. You don't have to forgive all at once. You just have to stop feeding the anger that keeps you small. There will be days when forgiveness feels impossible, when the memory still hurts, when the words still echo, when you still wish she had been different. And that's okay. Forgiveness doesn't erase your boundaries. It strengthens them. You can forgive and still choose distance. You can forgive and still say, "I won't allow this anymore." True forgiveness is clarity, knowing that you can acknowledge the pain without living inside it anymore. Sometimes forgiveness also means grieving the mother you hoped for. It's realizing that she may never apologize, never understand, never change, and deciding that you will love yourself enough to move forward anyway. It's the quiet courage of choosing your peace over her patterns. When you reach that point, you begin to feel lighter. The memories no longer sting the same way. The past stops defining you. It becomes just a story, one that shaped you, but no longer controls you. Forgiveness doesn't make what she did acceptable. It simply removes her power to keep hurting you in the present. Because forgiveness isn't about saying, "You were right." It's about saying, "I deserve peace." It's not a gift to her. It's a gift to yourself. It's the final act of self-liberation that breaks the emotional chain between mother and child, pain and healing, past and present. And in that release, you don't lose your strength, you finally find it. Healing your relationship with your mother isn't about rewriting her story. It's about reclaiming yours. When you finally understand the roots of her pain, the limits of her love, and the echoes of her silence, something powerful happens. You stop living as the wounded child and start rising as the conscious adult. You realize that your worth was never defined by her approval, her affection, or her awareness. It was always yours. Healing is not a single moment. It's a lifelong practice of choosing peace over resentment, empathy over anger, and self-love over blame. You honor her by breaking the cycle, by becoming everything she couldn't be, and by giving yourself the love you always needed. The real victory isn't in changing her. It's in changing what her story means to you. That's where true freedom begins, and where your healing becomes your power.